Hey guys, and welcome to Top Channel 101, and today we're going to be making this creepy flower blooming, head blooming into flower. Yeah, so if you're new here, this is what we do. We do experiments like this in Blender to just push it to its limits and yeah, basically learn like that. Yeah, so if you find this interesting, yes, leave a like, let me know in the comment. Yeah, so we have the flower here, and you can get the project files in the description. It should be already up on my Gumroad and my Patreon page. So let's jump in and get started. I'm going to go to my asset library and look for an unfortunate lady that I will have to. So let's find a character. Let me get this one here, and yeah, so my asset library is just a library that I use to collect different models and import them quite easily. So this is our lady, and we're going to chop. We don't need the rest of the body. We just want the head, just like I want head. I want the head. So I'll just remove this, push it down. Let me apply the scale because it seems it's too scale. Just this is our head. Now let's create a leaf animation. So the leaf, you can use a reference image, but I'm not going to do that because your time is precious and I do not want to waste it. Okay, so our leaf, or leaf petal, I think that's what it's called, it's just going to be something like that. Use Ctrl 2 to add a subdivision surface. Where is this? I'll bring it up. So let's work. Let me reset origin to geometry and just work from down here where my camera is seeing what's going on. Perfect. Okay, now let's shape this into a leaf. So just come in here. And maybe make it a bit wider. Shade smooth, and I can add a loop in the middle here just to make it, what is it called, concave, convex? Can never remember my lens shapes. Anyway, so this is good, I think. We need to make it longer so that it extends all the way to the head, and maybe add a loop here just so that it's covering most of the face, just like that. Now from there we need to start working on the animation. So the way this is going to bloom or open up, it's going to start with this shape. Can't draw because I'm using a mouse. That's the first shape. I have a drawing tablet, but I never used it. It was a total waste of money. Anyway, so that's shape 1, shape 2, and shape 3, and maybe both shape just like that. Okay, so to do that, let's set up a shape key. This is going to be our basic shape. The next one is going to be, okay, so if you turn off relative, you can go from 0 to 1, just like that. And we can create a new shape, but the problem is, let me show you here. If I set this to 1 and I create a new shape, it will snap back to the old shape. That means now I have to edit this from the beginning, which I don't want. But if you just click on this drop down here, you can click new shape from mix, and that should give you a new shape from that. And now we can edit this. Perfecto. Okay, let's look at this from different angles. Perfect. Okay, now it is time to split this. Now we're going to start with this face here, the face area, because that's usually the hard part. I'm going to change to 3D cursor so that I can rotate this here. I'm going to push this a little bit. It doesn't even have to be out like that. It can intersect with the mesh, that doesn't matter, because this is not the final mesh. This is not the final mesh. The face is going to be our final mesh. So to do that, I'm going to come in here, look at this, and just to be safe, I'm going to duplicate this and have a copy. Let me call this backup. And this also, I need a backup of the leaf animation. Okay, now turn that off. So now you can go to edit mode and use control, hold down control and then right click on this mesh to select it. You can go to mesh, knife project, and you will be able to create a projection of this mesh onto this face. So I'm just going to go back here in the front view and mesh, knife project. That way I get a nice projection of this. So you can see what we're getting. You see it creates a knife cut through the mesh just like that. Let me first isolate this and let me clear these lines as well, these knots. So you see the projection we're getting. It has not captured everything, but it's good enough. So I'm going to clean it up just a bit at the top here because I think this projection needed to come around here just and yeah, go like that. Let's see where else. Here it could just come up to there, and here it could just go up to let me just connect it the way it is, just like that. And now we just need to select this edge loop, hold on Alt and Shift, just select through this line. Okay, I think we have our selection. Now I'm not going to worry too much about the eye. Actually, and from there you can use Ctrl B. That will split the edge into two like that. Just leave a small gap like that and then delete faces so that we have a separate mesh from the rest. Obviously it's not completely separated because in some areas our knife cut didn't do a good job. So I'm just going to go in and start make sure that this is continuous all the way. So let me go into these eyes. Let me make a cut from here to there, and hopefully that can be continued to there. And come in here, split this, delete faces just like that. Let's see if this is good. Yeah, so we have this piece separate. That's the only difficult part of about this process. Now the rest is just to separate this from this mesh. So we have something like that. And now the fun part, we just have to deform this using our animation. So I'm just going to animate this. So start at 0 and end at, I think this is 31. Okay, so now we have that. So guess what we're going to use? A mesh deformer. So I'm just going to come in here. We don't need this anymore. I'm going to use a surface deformer. Select this as my surface and bind. Now we have a face opening. And yeah, remember these are shape keys, so you can come in and edit. Like I think, which shape is this? Shape 1. So let me turn on proportional editing, just medium point. That you can edit the animation. You can make your animations more detailed than mine, but that's it. But so let's go on and do the rest of the mesh. So I'm going to use Shift D, and this time let's use the cursor as the pivot point since it's at the center, and you want some overlap And since we already have this removed, we can come back to the eyes later if you want. But since we have this removed, we only have to do a projection for one side. So I'll just come in here, go to edit mode. Though I think for this case, I'm just going to go with doing this manually instead of using a knife project, because I think it's much faster for me. So in this case, so I'm just going to add a cut up to there and make another cut up to there. And here, we don't need this bottom face. I can just look at this edge loop, follow that up to there and up to there, Control B. I think, let me just make sure that this is really small. There's a very small gap. Don't make the gap too big. Delete. I can merge this. Okay, now if I select this, it is still connected somewhere. I'm just using L to select this mesh separately, but I think it's still connected somewhere, and I want to see where. Okay, so it seems here. So let me delete that, and now I can select this piece, separate it using P, and I have that. Repeat the same step, and surface deform, select this as your surface, bind. So if we hide these, you can already see where we're going with this, and you can even change the timing of these binding objects, these here, so you can offset the animation. And basically that's what I did here. And I'll just first hide this, go to the head here, see how it's open. These are the deformers, and they all have the shape keys that are animated and offset one by one. So I go around each face and make the cuts, deform them, and ended up with this. So these were the controllers. Oh, the eyes. Let's do the eyes first. I'm going to unhide this and just Control L. Okay, so the eyes needs to be split. I just need to cut it all the way. I think I'm just going to do it this way. So this part, so this part is separated and joined to this. Now, if you do that, you're going to get an error here, because the vertices, the vertex count has changed. So just make sure you're seeing the leaf, and hide the deformer and unbind, and then bind again. That way the leaf is also part of that. But it didn't look very good with the eyes open like that. So in my version, I just removed the eyes totally so that I don't see them. Now, when it comes to the materials, I had a texture. I'm just going to copy this material. Let me just copy one leaf, and it should come with the materials I want. So this one, I have this leaf texture, and let's create a new UV map for all the meshes. It's better to do this before you split the mesh, so that you don't have to repeat the same step here. But yeah, so you have that UV map, and now we can import in the texture, this leaf texture. Now you can look at it there. To make this UV map work, we need to use the UV input node and bring it in as the vector map here. Now I can select everything and hide any meshes and use, make sure you unwrapping on the second UV we have just created, not the first one. Otherwise we'll replace the UVs for the first one. So let's use a sphere. I think that creates some nice vines that are running vertically. You can even scale these up or scale them down depending on what you want. And all I did, so this was the original. All I did was just set this as a normal map. So we already have a normal map from the image. We can use a bump map. A bump, the normal can go in the normal, and this mic is really getting in the way. But okay, so like that. The strength is too high, so I can bring it down a bit. And I want a blend of this, because I still want to see the face through the texture, through the material. Since we already have this gradient, this UV map, I can split it using the separate XY and split, is it the Y elements? If I use a math node here, change this to multiply, I can, yeah, you can see the gradient. I can subtract, yeah, you can see the gradient. I can use a ramp to improve the contrast or adjust the contrast. And I'm just going to use this to blend this material. So, and just use my gradients like that. Now the inside, I created a new material called inside, and let that be the inside part for this. And for that we can use a solidify modifier, and just change the material to use the inside material. Now for the inside material, again we need a texture, animate texture, and let us use the same UV map. So input UV map, perfect. And here I just change the colors a bit using a hue and saturation node. So play with the hue until you get something pinkish. Or you can even just use a mix color with the color setting and just change this to pink. Bring the factor up. Pink. Yeah, just like that. Makes it look more interesting. This can be the best color. And I also added some translucence, just blended the shader just like that to make it more interesting. And I did the same for material 1, just mixed it with that translucence, and that's how I managed to get that. Let's go to the original project, and you can basically see the same setup. So this is the inside material, the outside material. Now you see that I have multiple layers of this animation. And basically what I did is I gave these the inside material. I want this to be properly rotated, so this, yeah, I gave this an inside material like that. And just let me first hide the head for a second since we are done with that. Duplicated this a few times if they start intersecting like that, just find the ones that are intersecting and just scale them down and make their scale. So I think there are these inside flowers, so I can turn on keyframe recording. Yeah, just like that. And you can have this as a collection. Let me call it 1. If you want, you can export this as Alembic. Make sure you have selected objects and apply subdivisions and export. That way, when you can import them back as Alembic, and they will have the same animation. The only difference is that the keyframes will not be, you won't have any keyframes, you will just have this modifier that you can play with to animate them. If you turn on override, you can just animate the sequence just like that. And if they are missing materials, just select one with materials and use Ctrl L, link the materials just like that, and they should be fine. You can even just select the whole bunch, Shift D and Ctrl J to join it into a single batch, which I think is even much easier than exporting, which is even faster than exporting the whole thing. It will have the animation, which is great. So now you can shrink it and have it inside the other one. So, and just offset the keyframes. You can even make it a different color and everything like that. Now, with that, now to animate it like this is simple. I just use geometry nodes. Okay, so this is what we have. We can have this in a collection called, let's say, M1. And now to turn it into a curve, into a plant, just draw a curve. Just create a curve. I'm going to delete all the vertices and draw a simple curve just like that. With this curve, I can go to geometry nodes, set up a new geometry node setup, and you can add a trim curve to animate this. Now you can either animate this or use our map range setting that maps the timeline. So if you use the scene time, you can get the current frame as and input it as the value, and basically map where you want this animation to start or the frame to start. So we want it to start at frame 0 and end at frame 50. And that is going to be our end value. So now you can see how that animates just like that. With that, I can turn this into points, 2 points, curve 2 points. We only need 2, and you can see the animation we have, and we can instance on points, and the instance we want is the M1 collection, which is our leaf. Now if I hide the original one, you can see we have 2 leaves, so we need to delete one by deleting some of the points using an index. And we can use, since this deleted the one we don't want, we can use the Boolean math with the option not. So now you see we get that. Since we have this curve, we can connect the rotation, and we have that. Now if I go to the original curve, I think I have a point here that is creating an issue. So I'm just going to select that, and yeah, so then the other thing is to just bring back the curve. This is, let me just change this to automatic. And actually I need the trimmed curve, not the original curve. So I need this. Now the rest is just shaping this using mesh to curve, mesh to curve, curve to mesh, and using a circle curve. Reduce the radius. And you can use the spline parameter node as the radius. You need a set radius. Here, and just use the factor. It's flipped, so I'm going to use our float curve to unflip it. Just like that. You can even add more detail like that. So we have the flower. Now it opens too early, I think. Oh, I forgot even about the head. But yeah, the head is also part of the sequence. So after you split it, it should be in the same collection, just as we have. And that's how you do that. That's how you create a head like that. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you want to check out the project files, links are going to be in the description, and I would really love it if you left a comment and tell me what you think about this kind of tutorial, longer versions where I'm a little bit more detailed in my explanation, and leave a like to, yeah, I guess, a way to support the channel. And thank you. I'll see you in the next video.